We're going to look at the final part of Samson's life and how he's betrayed, and as it relates to Messiah, Jesus Christ. Then Samson, this is Judges 16:1, and then Samson went to Gaza and saw there an harlot and went in unto her. Now right off the bat, you're comparing Samson, who liked harlots, and this is probably not the first time he went, That's not how these things work. You're comparing Samson, who liked harlots, to Jesus Christ. But remember, there's the carnal level that this story is at, and there's the spiritual level. Jesus loved the harlot, a certain unclean woman, a certain one who wasn't fit for him, but he loved her, and that one, it's the city of Jerusalem. Samson's, these harlots, there's two. There's going to be another one, Delilah. But we're talking about a type here, a type for the city, a type for the wicked generation that's going to betray him. Samson's love was carnal. Jesus' love was pure. Jesus' love was the love like God has, as for a child. And he loved Jerusalem, the unclean city, the city of sin, the city of abomination, that God had sent Babylon against and took them into captivity. There's a whole story here, the whole context here, that explains this type. Samson, the one who's going to be betrayed here. And it was told the Gazites, saying, Samson has come hither. Why was it told the Gazites? Because she betrayed him, this harlot. She's not named. This isn't Delilah, but it's one before her. And this is a pattern, though. And they compassed him in and laid wait for him all night in the gate of the city, and were all quiet the night, saying in the morning, when it is day, we shall kill him. What did the conspirators of Christ do? They waited. What did the enemy do? They waited. Why? Because they had no power over him. They couldn't face him face to face. They had to go through other channels. Had to get one to betray him. Even a Judas, who this one is a type for. But it was the city, Jerusalem, his city, his bride even, that he bought with his blood. It was his bride that would betray him. And Samson lay till midnight and arose at midnight and took. Here he goes. He's trapped. This is where the type really starts to show what this is talking about. Arose at midnight, at the depths of the darkness, and took the doors of the gate of the city and the two posts. He picks them up on his shoulders, and he lifts it up with his strength, in the strength of the Spirit, because he was betrayed, because the enemy had surrounded him, and went away with them, bar and all, and put them upon his shoulders, and carried them up to the top of an hill that is before Hebron. They thought they had him hemmed in. They thought that they had him. But he went right through the gate, picked it up, took it to the top of the hill. He bore the gates on his back onto the top of the hill. No human being could do this, by the way. This is a miracle of God. And scoffers will laugh, say that this couldn't happen, but they don't understand the type, because the type's right in front of him. And he bearing his cross, this is Jesus Christ, that Samson was a type for, the cross on his shoulders, like the gates of the city, went forth into a place called the place of the skull, which is called in the Hebrew Golgotha. He went to the top of the hill. He went to the place. He carried the cross out of the city Where was the city that he was tried in? Where was the city that he was condemned, that the conspirators gathered against him? That's Jerusalem. And he took that cross and carried it up to the hill. Even because his love was for that city. Now the story shifts to Delilah. It's a pattern that continues. It's a clear pattern, and she's going to betray him as well. And it came to pass afterwards that he loved a valley, and the woman. And it came to pass afterward that he loved a woman in the valley of Sorek, whose name is Delilah. And the lords of the Philistines came unto her, and said unto her, Entice him, and see wherein his great strength lieth, and by what means we may prevail against him, that we may bind him to afflict him. And we will give thee every one of us 1,100 pieces of silver. She's getting bought off. Why? Because her king isn't God, and her love isn't for the Lord, and she's not loyal to him. She's not loyal to Samson. Who is she loyal to? She's loyal to the God of this world. She's loyal to the king of this world. She can be bought off, even like Judas was for 30 pieces of silver. They're paying her a lot more than they paid him. The enemy had to find a way to stop him. Samson had been the power, the deliverer of Israel for a period of time. And that's just like Christ. Christ was setting things right, was doing God's work, was casting out devils and healing and bringing light, and the enemy hatched a plot against him. And they went through the ones that answered to the enemy. And Delilah said to Samson, Tell me, I pray thee, wherein thy great strength lieth, and wherewith thou mightest be bound to afflict thee. And Samson said unto her, If they bind me with 7 green withs that were never dried, then I shall be weak and be as another man. This one, Delilah, as a type for Jerusalem, seeks to destroy the deliverer of Israel, seeks to find his weakness, seeks to undermine him, but he can't be bound. And this continues for a number of times that she tries to find out his weakness. Finally, Samson gives in, and this is a source of speculation and division. Okay, so up to this point, she's clearly proven herself to be unfaithful and an enemy, a servant of his enemies. He doesn't trust her. I mean, some people think that Samson was like this dopey caveman type creature that I don't think that that's it. He might have been puffed up a little bit. He might have been prideful. But if you're looking at this as a type, you got to say, well, why was Christ crucified? Because he spoke the truth. Christ was the Nazarene. Christ the Nazarene. He was from Nazareth. He fulfilled the prophecies. Christ said, even before Abraham was, I am. He spoke the truth, and the truth was what they condemned him with. And we see this, that Samson, for whatever reason, maybe her looks got the best of him, but for whatever reason, he tells her that he speaks the truth. That's even a type for Christ when he was on trial, that he spoke the truth. And sure enough, the Philistines find out about his weakness, and she shaves his head. She cuts his hair off, because it was his Nazarene separation that gave him his great strength. So when the hair is cut, and this goes back to the Old Testament, where they had this Nazarene separation where they let their hair grow for a period of time, and then they would cut it and offer it to the priest. And once his hair is cut and that separation ends, then he returns back to his people. But that's even a type, because you got to understand that Christ went back to his people. Christ had the power of the Spirit. Christ had the separation. Christ was not a partaker of their sins. Christ was pure. Christ was separate. Christ was undefiled. But he went back. He became as one of them. He took on sin onto him. Became like a criminal. Went unto his people. Even like that scapegoat ritual where they put the sins from the people onto the animal and send it off into the wilderness. They send it off under the burden, just like the cross, just like the posts that Samson bore, just like the gates that Samson bore as a type for Christ.